welcome to Red Ice Radio. My name is Henrik, and it's a pleasure to have you with us today. Our website is redicecreations.com. That's the place to go for more radio, more news, video interviews, films, links, and other resources that hopefully will expand your point of view and add some new neural pathways to your thinking mechanism. And this is not about belief or convincing you of anything, but simply help to broaden your perspective so you can find your truth. And today we have Freeman with us on the show to help us to broaden our perspective and to point out that other of an unseen dimension in events that take place on this planet. And it was back in April 2008 that we had him with us last time. At that point we talked about Freeman's trip down to South America, and today I know that we're going to go on some more adventures, maybe not as far in the geographical sense, but definitely in the realm of thoughts and ideas. And we are going to have the latest dynasty of the USA, the Black Pharaohs of the Kingdom, as the theme of this program. Welcome back, Freeman. It's great to have you with us again. How you been?
Henrik, I've been great, and it's great to be here with you.
Excellent. I'm really looking forward to this. Again, we have the kind of the theme or the backdrop today as the new dynasty of the USA, as it were, the Black Pharaohs. We have a lot of stuff to talk about today, of course, but that's one thing that I guess we could begin up and talk a little bit about the election, but also some of the more occult or esoteric roots or symbolic roots of what we've been witnessing. What's your take on this whole debacle, as it were, or this whole sideshow as it's become almost?
Barakanan.
That's it.
Well, the curious thing was, as I've been outlining for a few years now, is the road to World War III, as it was identified by Albert Pike with his letter to Mazzini. And of course, Mazzini is the one that put M in mafia. But these are, Freemasonic men. These are occult orders. And so once you start to realize that our nation, many nations, have been founded on these occult principles, and that the people running things, directing things, guiding things, and creating things all live within that occult mindset, then you start to see that a lot of things that we consider quite normal or like laws, politics, legislation, are actually based in the occult, because this is where they come from. So when I began looking at this picture and I started to see, like, when I predicted 9/11, this was looking at this prospect of World War III coming. This was an attempt to see how they would set up the hearts and minds of the American people prior to bringing on the World War. So as I watched them bring down Bill Clinton, and they brought him down with the Monica Lewinsky scandal. Mm-hmm. Now, we all knew this was strange because there was so many of our presidents have had affairs, and they've always covered it up. They don't put this out in the public, but then all of a sudden they bring Bill Clinton in front of everyone for a few hours and make that poor man squirm in his seat and turn purple when asked about inserting a cigar into Monica Lewinsky, and called for these impeachment trials. So to me, this was absurd. It was something that they did not do to any other former president. So this was obviously a psychological warfare operation. And its purpose was to lower our ideal of the man, the president. So we were looking at this man of the people, Bill Clinton, the saxophone player, Saturday Night Live, great guy. And then they bring him down and they destroy all of our hopes and ideals of having this man of the people in office. And so to me, this was a key sign, a keynote in this whole psychological warfare. So looking at it, I said, well, okay, what would they do next? And obviously the next step would be to force a president into office, because then this would be attacking the very system. So first you attack the man, which is disheartening the people, then you attack the system, which further disheartens the people. So I said, this man W that they're talking about is going to be forced into office, and he will be the last American president. Mm-hmm. Now, when I looked at that picture, the reason I selected W was because of the Kabbalistic meaning. Now, when I talk about Freemasonry, you must first acknowledge that Freemasonry is a form of Kabbalism. And therefore, all of your associations need to go back to Hebrew. Mm. And that's when you start to get the code, and that's when you start to figure things out. And in Hebrew, this letter, W, equals 6 and 6 in Hebrew. And this 66 is the number of the fallen ones. It's the number of the dark side. In Kabbalism, it's blatantly said. So when we look at, like, Volkswagen's logo, you see it's two V's interlaced, so it has the 6-6. But then you cross the two V's, making a third 6, and you have 666 in Volkswagen. Mm. Or if you look at Philips 66, and you see that it has 6 points on the crest. So you have the coded 66, again, the VV, but then 6 points with a mysterious 666. So I'm following this type of thinking, and that's what highlighted W for me. So I said, that's going to be the man. They're going to force him into office. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened. Mm. And they then, of course, made all the story known about Jeb Bush in Florida forcing it. But this was more of the psychological warfare. This was more to alert the people that they had just been duped. They wanted you to be angry. So they leaked the news about Jeb Bush. But this was a total farce. We know that it wasn't Jeb Bush. It was the Illuminati. It was an overall scam. This is mind pattern programming being put into place. Mm. So here I am looking at the picture, and when during the Clinton era, of course, we're looking at this Homeland Security coming about, this whole new world order, as it is, in the police state. And so I'd been watching this bill come up every October, and of course failing miserably. Nobody wanted to pass this Patriot Act, Homeland Security. But when W was railroaded into office, I knew that would be the time. And so, of course, then 9/11 occurred. And I predicted this date using HW's announcement of the New World Order for the first time publicly on 9/11/1990.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can couple this with, which I can no longer find this data, but the cornerstones for the Twin Towers were dated to 9/11. The cornerstone for the Pentagon you can find is absolutely dated to 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
And so I looked into that number a bit and came to the conclusions of its Luciferian connection, skipping the hermaphroditic number 10 and going to 11. 9 to 11 is skipping God, basically, which is like a Luciferian ideal. So that might be the symbolism of 9/11. I'm still, I take it and I throw it into Kabbalism and I see what I get, because that's what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
So we're watching this whole process of this coming of World War III, as outlined by Albert Pike, and next thing we know, we get through W, and I had said he would be the last American president. Now, I didn't realize how literal I was going to have to take my own prediction, because here comes Barack Obama, a non-American citizen, or at least not proven to be an American citizen. Now, all of us are required to show our driver's license, our ID, our passports, our birth certificates. We're all required to show this on many levels. You go down to the driver's license office today, and they want my Social Security card. I don't have a driver's license because I won't give it to them. But yet, here's the President of the United States going, there are court cases going before the Supreme Court saying that he needs to show that he was born in America, because there is a constitutional amendment that says you must be a natural-born citizen to be president. Mm-hmm. So we find Barack Obama now potentially a Kenyan resident, and or a Hawaiian, But if he could prove it, then maybe we could be somewhere with this. But what we've got is kind of a shifting of the Constitution. It's the next step in the plane. So Barack comes in, he doesn't prove his natural-born citizenship, and curiously enough, both Barack and Hillary were trying to push forward legislation to say that you don't need to be a natural-born citizen.
Mm-hmm, really?
And the curious thing was that also his running mate, or his opponent, McCain, he was born in Panama.
Mm-hmm.
So neither one of the presidents, were necessarily natural-born citizens. Although being born in Panama on a military base, you at least get the fact that you were born on, technically American land.
Right.
But back in February of 2008, Senator Claire McCaskill introduced the bill to the Senate. It was the bill 2678 for children of military families to Natural-Born Citizen Act. And this bill to start to loosen the grip on the natural-born president was co-sponsored by Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton. And then a second one came through as well on this same note. They continue to try and pass this legislation to bring in a non-natural-born president. Now, this is opening the door for the Arnold Bill. This is opening the door for Nazi rule over America.
Austrian rule, yeah.
Exactly. And we also find other curious things like Barack Obama being very Satoro in Indonesia, being in a school in Indonesia at a time when they did not allow foreigners to be in the schools in Indonesia. So somehow he proved that he was a citizen of Indonesia as well, but yet can't prove that he is an American citizen.
That's interesting. And what is that? Because in one sense, it's really on the more kind of how should you put it, on the geopolitical scale, it really doesn't, it represents something obviously, but it's yet kind of very superficial. But you have a kind of a more occult or esoteric interpretation of that, the fact that he might not have been born or been born in the USA basically.
Well, I see that if they wanted to push this, now this went before the Supreme Court twice. There are people that are still pushing the bill. I think Alan Keyes has even gotten involved in this. I'm not sure. But what we see is that now we've got this man out in front of us, the first black American president. Everybody's all excited. They've got their Obama goggles on. But what if they then brought in this court case again, and people would demand that they open the Constitution and rewrite it. They go ahead and pass Hillary and Barack's Natural-Born Citizen Act. And this would open the Constitution to a constitutional convention, and therefore they could go in and alter whatever they want. So it's like they set up this man that everybody loves, this new Messiah, the new hope, and the one. And then they're going to try and take him down. If they do this, either way, they've kind of shifted the Constitution a little bit. But for me, it's an attempt to open the Constitution to start and get this new world order rolling, get the global government going.
Interesting. I get this idea of this it's been very much talked about that Obama is the first what they call the global president, meaning that he comes from he's more kind of multicultural in that sense as well, and he's more like he's a little bit all over the place, his origins as it were, and it's also the idea of the what do you call it, someone who comes in and take over the kingdom as it were. Like if we reference this back to Egypt later on, we can tie that in with this whole idea that someone from the outside is coming in a sense and taking over, inheriting the kingdom, as it were. What's your take on that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it goes on because Barack becomes unconstitutional a second time. So in case this first one of him, his natural-born citizenship wasn't good enough, then Barack flubs the inauguration or the oath.
Yes.
With Chief Justice John Roberts. And so this spurs that they have to go into secret, go in behind locked doors without the news,